Hello and welcome to India Post Live, India's first online news conversation portal. The topic of discussion today is the much anticipated iOS 8, that is the new operating system from Apple, coming out sometime in September, I believe. Joining me in the studio today, we have Abhishek, who is the founder and editor at gadgetstouse.com. We have Jatin, who is an editor at TechWorm. And joining us on Google Hangout, we've got Asif as well from Hyderabad. Guys, iOS 8 is coming out later this year. What is new about iOS 8?
So as of now, if I talk about the new things, I would say home automation is something which they have added new. They have added a new programming language altogether. They have given access to around 4,000 new APIs to the developer. They have also added new options when it comes to, you can say, controlling things like controlling your door locks, controlling your car lock, controlling your garage lock. So all these things you can do with iOS 8. And these are the new things which I would say these are new things in iOS.
These are the genuinely new things he's saying, because we were having a discussion before this began, which we will get into shortly, which will get quite interesting. Jatin, sir, what else about iOS 8 has been worked upon?
What I have liked, new features, although they are not features as far as this operating system is concerned, predictive typing, then health kit, which Samsung has introduced on Galaxy S5, but this is a very useful kit for health, for your healthy way of life, and it's very useful for people like me to use this to use this feature and get it implemented in the daily lifestyle.
Day-to-day.
These two features I like the most.
And this presumably will be with Asif. Can you hear me? Yeah? Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can we hear you?
Yes, now I can. Presumably, as Jatin sir just mentioned, the health kit that's been put in, that's presumably going to be something that they'll implement with the much anticipated iWatch, let's say, or their iPhone 6, their new devices coming out.
Yeah.
Are these key? What are the other key features do you think that iOS 8 will bring to the new devices that are not out yet, or will we be waiting for the conference before we know that?
So the one feature that no one is talking about is the extensibility feature. So till now, iOS apps couldn't talk to each other. So they couldn't transfer data from one app to each other. But now they can.
Okay.
So Apple has implemented a new API which developers can use. So any file that you open, it will now show an option to open that file in all the compatible apps.
Right. So like a right-click open with like that sort of thing.
Just like you see in Android.
Fantastic. He mentions the Android.
One thing I would like to add here: this continuity features. If you are in your iPhone, then you can go to your iPad, then you go to your Apple Mac. This is a very useful feature. Plus, you can receive the call also if your phone is stuck up somewhere, or it is charging, or if you are in the another room. You can take the calls from your iPad or from iMac.
Any connected Mac device.
Yeah,
basically.
any connected Mac devices. If you are on the same
on the same thing. However, this is you were telling me about the Wi-Fi sort of thing, but from the reading that I've done, that this is only going to be on local Wi-Fi networks, though.
Right.
So
this is the continuity feature.
Your 3G is, but then that's only going to work in your own home, let's say.
Right, that will again make a lot of difference.
Okay.
Because right now,
as opposed to, sorry to cut you off there, as opposed to having it done on any network, on 3G, for example.
They could have done it. They could have done it, but the thing which makes it easy to use is again implementing on your own local network, because you obviously will connect both of your Mac as well as your iPhone to the same Wi-Fi network which you will have at your place. So this will actually make both of these devices feel much more connected.
Right.
So once they are much more connected, you can receive calls, you can reply to messages, and this is something which is very different from what happens in Android as of now. Because on Android, even if your PC is connected to the same Wi-Fi, if your Android phone is also connected to the same Wi-Fi, you will have to use third-party application which might provide you the features you are looking for, and which might not provide you the features you are looking for, and you might need to pay for it.
Pay is another option that we'd also like to talk about. The cloud drive is something that Apple has had for a while, but now they're making it more, they've expanded on it, similar to Google Drive, for example, but again, only of the Wi-Fi. That will not be on the local Wi-Fi network. That is a proper cloud-based storage.
Right.
However, you will have to pay for this, right?
Right.
Extra.
Right. So again,
I'm just to warn the audience here. There's this journalistic thing of having to be neutral right here, but I have to play devil's advocate today because someone has to take the Android point of view here, which is why I'm opposing this man so much.
so again, as of now in Android, you get a lot of storage, lot of more storage as compared to what you get for free in iOS.
Okay.
But depending on your usage, they give you around 5 GB of data. In case you are going to sync photos across your devices or videos across your devices, that storage will run out very soon.
Right.
But in case you are syncing documents, then you can use a lot more as far as the free storage which is provided to you. And when it comes to the pricing as well, if you actually compare the pricing which they have announced right now, it is very competitive to the pricing which you see for Google storage.
And when you say competitive,
So it is approximately $0.99 for 20 GB.
Okay.
So for every 20 GB, you have to pay this much amount for a month, which is
not,
again,
which is not a stretch. We spend more on that in Candy Crush. Asif, to you, any other significant changes to the user interface in terms of looks?
Again, they are continuing the same translucency effect. So there's not much change in the looks, but they have added more features. So in the multitasking menu, you'll see your friends, so you can contact them directly from the multitasking menu. So this feature was not there in the iOS 7. And what Apple says is that multitasking is not only about switching between apps. It's also about contacting with your friends and family. So they've put all the contacts in there as well.
So essentially, you can have a your entire family and all on one safe, secure, centralized base of all your stuff. That's pretty cool. They've also got you mentioned the third-party keyboards before. As far as I was as a user, I actually like the old iOS keyboard. Will this be only third-party, or are they actually developing a new keyboard?
As far as my knowledge goes, it will be third-party.
Okay.
And and this key point technologies who specializes in predictive typing, they are very whole about this development. They say they'll be contributing a lot as far as this development is concerned.
Okay, fantastic.
Actually, the current keyboard on iOS as of now, it is far more old when it comes to new features if you compare it with the Android keyboard. You get a lot more when it comes to typing, a lot more smoother typing I would say, with continuous swipe to type, which is inbuilt supported within the Android 4.4 and it was supported from 4.1. So as of now, what they have done is they have provided access to all the other third-party application keyboards, which includes Flisky, which is one of the popular application when it comes to third-party keyboard, and they're right now allowing people to actually join the beta program.
Yeah.
So developer can actually use that particular keyboard as of now.
That's one thing I wanted you guys to tell the audience a bit more about. You mentioned that they've released 4,000 APIs to developers. Tell the non-techie audience perhaps what that means and why that is important.
So how that is going to make a difference is that as of now, if you talk about home automation, we do not see anything happening in the Android space, and Google is again not very much motivated to, maybe they are not having that much time to actually promote home automation. So what in future with these APIs you can do is that developer can actually make application which will talk with the hardware. You can open your door locks, you can unlock your car, you can unlock your garage, and all this you can do with voice commands using Siri, which will again make a difference, a lot of difference I would say. Not only this, they have also included the health API, the new health system. So as per which developers are now allowed to make application which will talk to the different health tracking applications or hardware as well. So in that case, that will also make a difference. And again, this has been happening when it comes to the health. This has been happening with Android when it comes to different hardware which we have seen, but not to that kind of deeper level that it is going to happen on iOS.
So we could all be living in iHouses and being called iPeople shortly. That could be fun.
I would like to add just one word over here. I'm not optimistic about this HomeKit applications, especially in underdeveloped countries like India or our neighboring countries.
What is the practical use of it?
Because we have a lot of problems here, electricity problems and other problems, which I am afraid whether these apps will work over here.
And also the pricing of the devices as well. They're on the high end. You mentioned the devices can now connect, but that of course relies on you having to have a whole bunch of Apple products.
These apps or these new features are pretty good, but the hardware is damn expensive.
Yes, absolutely. Asif, is this actually anything Are these, I mean, besides the things that Abhishek mentioned in the beginning, those are the real standout new features, but things like the cloud drive and the integration, the things that they've sort of done that already exist in, let's say, the Android world, is it just it's just an update really, or is it truly something separate? Or are they just coming up to the level of what users want from their phones these days?
Yeah, so I think that Apple is catching up to the Android operating system in terms of these features. So previously iCloud was there, your data was being sent, but you did not see the actual files, not the actual file system. But
Right.
now you can, just like Dropbox or Google Drive. So Apple is playing the catch up here.
But what would if Google Drive and Dropbox are already being used so much, even by iPhone users and Apple users, why would people move on to this new thing? Just because it seems like you're limiting yourself a little more by now going to another application to share your documents with.
So it's nothing new, and Apple wants to, again, as it does already, wants to trap you in its ecosystem.
Yeah.
So a lot more people can switch to iCloud if they offer competitive pricing, and they can switch from Google Drive and Dropbox to iCloud Drive because it is built in. It comes built in. You do not have to install any other app for that.
Right.
That might be a positive point for Apple to bring and gain users from other services.
Right. So guys, do let us know what you think as well on Twitter. Our handle is @IndiaPostLive. Use the hashtag IndiaPostLive as well. Let us know what you think about the iOS 8, its new features, and all, whether you think it's better than Android, not better than Android, it's something new or not. Whatever your thoughts are, we'd like to hear. While I was Googling, I also came across something called DuckDuckGo search option. What is that? It sounds pretty cool. Sounds like a game.
So it's a new option with which you can actually search. And again, I'm not very much aware about this option, but this is something new which you can do when it comes to the search. They have provided a kind of a search system within the default Spotlight search, in which whenever you go and search for something, in case you are searching for a movie, it will show you where that movie is being showcased, how you can book movie tickets directly from the Spotlight search. So all you can do, again, they are going towards the Google Now thing.
Yeah.
So in this case, because Google Now have been providing these features for quite a long time
and
now.
will this also be like an intuitive thing that it'll just send you? You won't have to manually search, like as you said.
Right.
If you're
You don't have to actually install any application. It will come inbuilt within the Spotlight search, where you can actually select a movie which you would like to watch, or in case you are searching for a restaurant, you can actually get the location data and all of the details within the Spotlight search itself.
And presumably these are also features that they're going to put into the new OS X that's coming out as well, 10.10 Yosemite, right?
Yeah, probably.
So that also Apple Space
Yeah.
and then Search Movie and all that'll happen
Right,
as well.
right.
So that is pretty cool, guys. That's something worth checking out. For iPhone users, of course, this will not be available for the 4. It'll only be from the 4S onwards, which is fine. Hardware has to keep up. That's a standard. I won't jump on that. Right, widgets. The next thing. They've added widgets into iOS 8. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Jatin sir?
Abhishek?
So I would like to say about widgets. First of all, the way they have added widgets, it is not supposed to be added. First of all, they have added widgets into the notification center.
Okay.
So
not
which
to
is
the home
again,
screen
yeah,
itself.
not on the home screen. So widgets are actually designed to work, and again, they are much more easy to be used by the consumer when they are on the home screen. Right now they have implemented on the notification center, which is something which I don't like, because again the overall functionality is limited. What you see in terms of user interface, what is the size of that widget, that is also going to be limited. So I'm not very happy with the kind of way in which they have implemented widgets on iOS 8.
And they've changed the notification center as well in terms of the missed call and all is also not there.
Messages
they've
and
changed
all,
that around.
Yeah.
So that is another change. Another good feature which a lot of people on the internet are talking about is they're giving you more swipe options now when you cross, let's say, with your mails and all. Before it was just delete or whatever it was.
They're actually
Now
giving
it's
more options.
More options now. So that's a definite improvement on iOS 8 for sure. What about some other stuff like there's a battery manager, Asif, to you. There's a battery manager.
Yeah.
Is this got anything to do with improving battery life, or is this just to make the user make use of their battery better?
So it cannot actually improve the battery life.
Okay.
What it does is it actually shows you which app is consuming more battery. So if any third-party developer has not developed his app properly, it can drain the battery much faster than the other apps developed by Apple. So it can let you identify which apps are consuming what battery so that you can disable it or report it to the developer so he can improve upon that. So this feature has been there in Android from like Ice Cream Sandwich, that is Android 4.0, that is 4 generations prior to the current generation. So this is not anything new, I would say.
Right.
Now I tell you how it is different.
Gotta stand
I tell
up.
you how it is different, and the reason I'm saying this is that they have actually implemented this feature very nicely compared to what you seen on Android. On Android, whenever you charge your phone for and you are using it for 24 hours or more, it will give you the data as per the current cycle of the battery charge.
Okay.
So in that particular battery charge cycle, which all apps are actually consuming how much amount of battery, you will get to know. But on iOS 8, you actually keep a track of at least 7 days or more.
Okay.
So within the last 7 days, how many times you have charged your phone? Out of all the applications, the one which is actually using the most battery in those 7 days, you will get to know those applications.
Okay, so
in this, you will
that makes you know you can turn off Facebook.
So you will be able to identify the culprit apps which are actually using the battery much more than any other app. So it is not going to be working for only one charge cycle. It will be for quite a long time, which will actually give you much better data.
Right. So that is again a definite benefit to having that. As a definite.
I would like to add just few words on this. I am not aware of the nitty-gritties of apps of batteries, but overall, battery of Apple devices, especially of iPhone and iPad, is far better than Android devices. I don't know the details, but it is more dependable than Android. I am using Samsung phone. It gives a lot of trouble. You have to charge it again and again. Even in a day, you have to charge 2 or 3 times. But this is not the case with Apple. Whether it is iPhone or iPad, at least with iPad, which I am using quite frequently, the battery life is marvelous.
And that's a fundamental consumer want as well. And this is actually when you were saying about the widgets being in the notification panel. That's actually quite handy because on the home screen, I know with my Android device as well, those widgets do take up a lot of power.
Because
this is perhaps one reason why they've done that.
Because on Android, if you have widgets on the home screen, they provide you much more functionality. So they will definitely use more battery.
Yeah.
But if you have in the notification center, they will provide you limited functionality. They will obviously use less power.
Absolutely. Asif, over to you again. With the camera, have they added anything cool and funky to the camera app?
I don't remember anything new that is in the camera app. I think they have added the HD panorama option in the iPad with this new iOS 8. Apart from that, nothing new.
Right. I believe there might be. There's a time lapse, if I'm not mistaken, guys. You can go check that, Google it, or Safari it, whatever your choice is. Right, on to now the network Wi-Fi calls and messages. This is an improvement to the iMessage itself. Explain to us a little bit about that. It's a major change that they're saying this is in iMessage.
Right. So as of now, even if you take a look over the iMessage, it is kind of basic in terms of what you can do with iMessage. But they have added some more functionalities, like you can have push to talk, and then you can have different kind of messages or sound or video or audio being sent very easily. So that is again going to help you. Many of the people out there will say that these features are actually copied from WhatsApp. So definitely you can say that because WhatsApp implemented these features much longer than them. But again, as of now, what they have done is actually they have made this experience much more smoother across all the devices categories which they have. Either it is an iPad, either it is an iMac or an iPhone which you are using. With iMessage, you can get connected to all of the devices much easily and in a much smoother way.
But again, only Apple-to-Apple devices.
Right.
But with new features, WhatsApp is very critical about the features which they have introduced on iOS.
And we have to pay apparently as well nowadays.
But you must have read even their CEO had a jibe on this feature.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the age-old discussion when I'm trying to be fair here, but it's the age-old discussion. Why would you limit yourself by getting off a mainstream network? We've already been since the BlackBerry days. Everyone then suddenly had to get rid of BBM. Then WhatsApp came along. Then now there's Snapchat and all sorts of WeChat, Snapchat, the Hike. There's so many options. This could or could not be perhaps an option for people to go to if they don't want to use the mainstream ones, but that is again provided that they're on those devices. would you like to talk about anything about how it's going to be integrated with Yosemite OS X 10.10?
So they have implemented some of the features which are kind of seamless. For example, if your iPad and your Mac on which you have Yosemite running, if they are in the close proximity, you will get to see that application you can actually transfer. So you have this extensibility option in which you can actually have the same app in case you are editing any photo, you have the same app on your Mac as well, and then you can transform that app. You can start using your app from your iPad to your Mac seamlessly without any configuration needed. Once they are in close proximity, it will give you the option that you can actually transfer that app data from this iPad
And
to
this
your
is
Mac.
this is based on NFC?
I think it is working on the basis of NFC or Bluetooth. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure about it as of now. But it is something which is very
Is this
seamless.
scrap AirDrop then? Or
Maybe,
is this
maybe.
an updated AirDrop?
It is actually an updated AirDrop,
Okay.
definitely. So they must have done some kind of NFC triggering as well in this case. But again, transferring data in between these two devices is something which they have done very seamlessly as compared to what we see in Android.
Right.
So in this way, I would say they are slightly better. They are definitely coping up, I would say. As of now, when you compare iOS 8 with Android, it has actually got a lot more functionality which were missing. But they have actually implemented some of the functionality in much simple way and in much easier way you can actually use on the Apple devices.
Absolutely, that's the thing we've been, while doing the research, that I've come across, is that they say that this is the OS that that Apple promised with OS 7, that they promised the features are now there in 8. They've listened to the users, what is required out of your smartphone today. They've gone ahead and done it. They've done it in their way, the Apple way, which is the clean way. It looks great, it works seamlessly, as Abhishek says. So we will only know if that's true if once it comes out. I wanted to get on to one more thing with you, Asif, about Siri, Google Now's female competitor, let's say. What are the new Siri features, and is it going to be useful at all?
So personally, I don't like Siri that much. I think Google Now is much better than Siri in terms of what you can do with it in your day-to-day life. So I use both Android and iOS devices. But I like Google Now better because it actually shows you updates which matter to you very passively. So
But this is what iOS 8 is putting into their system now as well.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
I said this is what, as Abhishek was saying, this is something that they're implementing into the Spotlight feature as well in iOS 8. So, but I mean, why would you still use Google then if now they're doing the same thing?
Because I use a lot more Google services than Apple services. So all my data, my mails and all they are stored in Google and it's Google services. Let's say I purchased something from Flipkart and I get a mail of package delivery. So Google now scans the mail from the information from Gmail and it actually shows it on my mobile when your package is to be delivered.
Oh,
so
wow.
those functionalities are not present in iOS,
Right.
or I would say Siri.
So that's an impressive thing as well. You can track your packages or whatever. That's quite handy. Now, group messages with video they've also got in as well. This is again going back to the Hangout versus FaceTime thing. Will this be called FaceTime still, or is there just added this into iMessage?
This is something which has been added to iMessage as of now. So you can now do group messaging, which was kind of a missing feature. So when it comes to
will they scrap FaceTime then?
I don't know, maybe. They might keep it, they might make it exclusively for video calls only. But as of now, they are making use of iMessage and FaceTime quite effectively. I would say people are using iMessage more as of now when it comes to Apple devices, more than what they actually use FaceTime with. Because now on iMessage, you can actually exchange photos, videos, or any audio data as well in case you want to.
Right. Jatin, sir.
The other useful feature of besides group messaging is family sharing. And your 5 or 6 members of the family, if they are on the same password, they can see what other is buying, or if they are buying from Apple Store or iTunes, and especially they can control over their kids. They can pay from their parents' credit card, but they can control them. They can see whether they are buying the right stuff or not, and what they are buying, and so this feature I think is quite useful, provided all are on on the same devices.
And that is usually the way with families. Everyone does tend to get on the same device. If you got it, everyone likes it. It does work incredibly well when it's working together. Onto the larger discussion then, the thing that everyone does talk about, the Android versus iOS. So KitKat versus iOS right now, as it stands, as is what you've heard. Which one do you pick and why?
So I would still go for iOS 8, and there are a couple of reasons for that. As of now, Jatin just talked about the family sharing thing. As per the family sharing feature, it is actually not there in Android, even on KitKat as of now. So in this kind of a feature, you can actually have a much better control over what all application your kid are using. And again, it is about getting more devices. So Apple definitely want you to buy an additional iPad for every kid, but you can actually share the apps. So this is something good. When it comes to home automation, they are actually progressing in the right direction, which I do not see happening from Google as of now. Definitely it might happen in Google I/O. They might make some announcement which is kind of close, but again it will be in this case Apple has done it. So it is just like who has done it before. So if Apple have done it something before, you will call that, okay, you are the guys who are genuine. In case Android has done it before, you will say, okay, you guys are genuine, and the other one will be called a copycat.
Yeah, well, as the saying goes, good artists copy, great artists steal.
Again, finally I would like to say that iOS 8 is going in the right direction. They are going to make some features more useful than Android. Again, they are definitely coping up with Android. It has been quite a long time they actually implemented something very useful into the iOS 8. Now they have done it, so which is good and welcome. And again, they will go further and maybe do something much more different than Android. Yeah. Let's see.
And the main thing I found with most people who use Apples is they don't want the complex nature of Android. They want it to be simple, they want it to be clean, they want it to be seamless, and they want it to work, which is a very, very legitimate concern.
But they are missing on two very prominent features which Android has a mastery as far as Google Map is concerned.
Right.
I don't know why they are not concentrating on their mapping features, because Google Map is far better, and this mapping they have not done anything.
Yeah, Apple Maps has never had
Apple Map is a
you
crash.
must have
landed someone
yeah,
in the ocean
you
or
go
something.
somewhere, you land somewhere else. And second feature is Google search. You have to go via Bing search on iOS, and that is terrible compared to Android. You can Google search very fast, very efficiently. These two features, I believe, are they have provided, they missed, or they are still developing on that.
Right. This is a good point you make, though. Asif, do you see this as Apple trying to do things like Google, or are they trying to be their own Google? Are they trying to segregate completely, or are they just trying to get on board with what everyone's doing and just do it in their style, let's say? What is it for you?
So I have not favored any operating system as of now, because all of them are pretty much on the same level. But they are inspiring. They are getting features inspired from Google Android as of now. And the good thing about Android Google is all of the Google services are available on iOS. So I am not sure if people who are already using Google services on iOS would use Apple services, which mimic Google service.
The rumors about the iPhone 6 going around as well. Anything that you've heard from those rumors that have any relevance to iOS 8?
Yes, so as Apple has released the iOS 8 for developers now, so it will be available to public by fall, that is by end September. So I think that iPhone 6 with 4.7-inch screen will be released along with iOS 8, and then after a week or two it will be available to other iOS devices. So Foxconn has already released a note saying that they have already started producing 4.7-inch iPhones. And 5.5-inch iPhone will come 3 months later, so that falls in line with Christmas holidays and all.
The release date. Fantastic. So we're about to see the next generation of Apple products, which is going to be exciting because it's going to be cool. It's going to look good for sure. Let's do a chime check.
I all said and done, features, highlights, and Android versus Apple. But the main thing is that if they come with i6 or i7, first of all, in India context, they must have a screen size of 5 inches, which they are lacking. I don't know what is the reason. Because here the majority of the users prefer the large screens. And number two, the prices. If they go on selling the product for 60,000, 50,000 rupees, I am afraid whatever the features it is, it will be very difficult for people to have these beautiful devices. Although this hardware is very fantastic, but how many people can afford a device worth 50 or 60,000 rupees? That's a question mark, and Apple will have to address this issue if they want to have a good foothold in Indian market.
That's an absolutely valid point. This is India Post Live after all, so that is the relevant topipic indeed.
Even I prefer to have a Apple device, but when you say 60,000 rupees, so. I said, oh sorry.
That's a great, is a final point. I really like that for India, that it's perhaps, so in the United States or in the UK, wherever it's going to work
another thing I would like
seamlessly.
to add, in United States, why they are selling more? Because there is a contract system. You don't have to shelve them at one go. Here there is no contract system. In the various events, I am asked post this question to all the suppliers, vendors of smartphones, why don't they introduce this? They say this market is not fit for such type of schemes. I don't know what is the reason. They say the EMI is a different thing, but contract system is a different thing.
I guess,
and no vendor has taken the initiative.
Getting payments and all, that's always an issue with the amount of people we have in the country running after them.
But in India,
really do.
But in India there are good payers also.
That is also true. That is also true. As your final thoughts, sir, we are running out of time. I'm afraid this conversation can't go on, of course, forever. Your final thoughts on iOS 8.
So iOS 8 is definitely on the right path. It will go better. With the announcement of iPhone 6, which is coming very soon, you will get to see some more new features, and which are again definitely will be interesting. As of now, iOS 8 has done the thing which they were supposed to do when it comes to coping up with Android in terms of what all features they were lagging behind. So the next step will be ahead of Android. This is something which I expect. This is something which I believe as an iPhone user.
I think someone's ignoring Google's next step.
So I do love Android as well, but I would say that definitely they are on the right path, and definitely they should do something interesting in future once they come out with iPhone 6.
Absolutely. Asif, from you, your final thoughts on iOS 8.
What I like most about the iOS 8 is the integration what they have done with iCloud Drive and integration with OS X as well. So the features that you can take calls from your Mac is very interesting. But I'm afraid that not everybody has all the Apple devices in their home. There are very few people who have all the Apple devices from Apple ecosystem. So I'm not sure how many people will use those features.
Absolutely.
Apart from that, Google services are available on Mac OS X as well as iOS 8. So people would use that instead of using these Apple features because they don't have all the devices.
Absolutely. Well, this is the discussion that we will see how it develops when iOS 8 does come out sometime in fall of this year. You guys do let us know what you think, as we said, on India Post Live, using the hashtag India Post Live, on Twitter at India Post Live. Right, that's about all that we have time for today on the discussion about iOS 8. We look forward to seeing what it does. As you said, once the conference comes out and once iPhone 6 is announced, we're going to see guaranteed to see some secret weapons in there as well. So let's see what Google has to say about that. I know I haven't been the fairest anchor today, but as a summary, I do think iOS 8 has done a good job in terms of getting up to speed with the way we like to use our phones, something that iPhone users can definitely be happy and proud about. That's it from us today on this edition of India Post Live. Do join us more to talk more about tech and all the rest. Thank you so much for watching.